we released today that our Game Day mobile app, which features some pretty cool technology, has been updated and is available for download. It includes video replay capability in Camp Randall and the Kohl Center, which is the first app to do so in multiple venues. So pretty exciting stuff. Our Director of External Engagement, Ben Frazier, is in the back of the room if anyone has questions on that after we are done here. A couple minutes early, but I think with the excitement of game week and Coach Chryst, we can get started. Football team opens the season Saturday against Alabama at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Game will kick off at 7:14 p.m. and be televised nationally by ABC. ESPN's College Game Day will also be on site. Head coach Paul Chryst is here. We'll have some opening comments, then take questions.
Well, today and tomorrow our student athletes don't have class, so we're able to go on a little bit of a different schedule. So we had our first team meeting today at 10:30, and it was fun to be with the guys. You can tell there's a energy, and it was game week upon us, and the opportunity to play in this game. You know, it was fun being around our players, and certainly we started the preparation end of last week, but we'll solely devote it, obviously, to it this week, and I like where the guys are at right now, and I think that we all certainly have a very healthy respect for Alabama, and you know, I certainly do. Coach Saban and the coaches they have, and the players that they're playing with, but I'm also appreciative and excited to be with the group that I'm with right now, and looking forward to a great week of preparation and going down to Dallas and starting off our season.
Jeff.
Paul, the last time we got to see practice and what the depth chart says today, it looks like there's some changes on the offensive line. How much time has Hayden Beagle had since he's been able to return? And then can you share with us what allowed Walker Williams to slot into that #1 right guard spot?
You know, I think right now, you know, Hayden's been in enough different drills and meetings, and also I think because Walker, what he's been able to do, I think that gives us right now our best chance. And yet, I think one of the byproducts of the injuries was Micah Kapoy was able to get a lot of work, and so you know, depending on how it goes, you know, is how you shuffle that group right there. But it's you know, Hayden, one thing is kind of right when we first got here, you know, picked things up pretty well, and has you feel like he's a veteran in the way that he approaches it, and then Walker was really stressed with a lot of, you know, he was bouncing around, moving a lot of different places, and I think he's kind of settled into where he can give us some help either at the tackle or guard spot. So that and the continued development of Micah, I think, you know, we certainly have kind of our core depth right now.
Are you concerned at all about the communication between the right side of the offensive line now with guys moving in there, kind of getting some of their first experience together when they're picking up stunts and other things in the offensive line? Are you concerned about how they're going to mesh together early on after just kind of coming together now?
You would like to have had more snaps, absolutely. But at the same time, they are going through it together. And I think that there can be some benefits from that, you know, as they go through and watch the tape. And bottom line is they've all got to communicate, and that's where I feel really fortunate with Dan Volz at the center spot. You know, you've got a guy that's got great knowledge of what we're trying to do, played in big games, and I think that we're in pretty good shape right there with Dan directing it. But absolutely, that we've got to, you know, they've got to continue to talk and continue to develop the chemistry, and that you hope is kind of ongoing, really, until they're done playing here.
Paul, how does the uncertainty at quarterback for Alabama, how does that affect how you guys prepare for them defensively?
Well, we kind of knew going in that there was going to be a number of different possibilities, and therefore I think you know, it allowed us to focus on really what we know of Alabama and what they do offensively. And every game, there's going to be certain adjustments that need to be made, whether it's something different than what you saw. It could be with a player that we know, their center's done a heck of a job. He's a heck of a player, and their left tackles, we got him on film, but maybe something's happening that you've got to adjust off of that. But, there's nothing you can do about it other than prepare for what you think you might get, similar to every game. And every game, you end up having to make adjustments. And I think certainly we're going to this game will be no different. We'll have to make adjustments, and that's one thing I do feel good, particularly on defense. We've got some veterans. I think they understand the scheme. They understand their role in it, and so I think that it can help. And when you do have to make adjustments, they could draw back on experience is something they've done before, and so I think that'll all have to take place, my guess, on Saturday.
Jesse.
Tanner's listed with the ones at wide receiver. What has impressed you most about his development at that position? And when you consider the fact that he really hasn't played that full-time since high school, is it even more astonishing that he's in this position?
I think Tanner's really a talented football player, and any guy that can play, he's played and started at quarterback. He's played and started at safety, and now, he'll play and start at wide receiver, and yet I think he's also learning the position. So I think he's going to continue to get better, but he's got a great physical skill set, and does a lot of things naturally well. And then there's parts of any position, for him at the receiver that he'll continue to work on and improve. Some of the kind of the small, finer points, and so that's what's kind of exciting for me about Tanner, is that I think he's a good player that can give our offense an added dimension, and yet I think he can continue to get better. And I think right now we've got 5 guys that are going to play a lot at the receiver position, and we're going to need all 5 of them, and all 5 of them to continue to grow and develop as this year goes on.
You mentioned at the beginning about the respect for Alabama that you had. How do you prepare the players to play 2015 Alabama, not the history, the tradition, the program that seems to be every year playing for a national championship?
I think that's a good question. I think that's what helps having some of the guys that we have in the room, and that you feel fortunate with, and so our job is to help them make sure they understand that. And it's focusing on this game, this opportunity, the players that are in this game, and I think the guys, we started talking about that a little bit earlier, but haven't felt the need to kind of double back and keep readdressing it. I think these guys have a tremendous focus right now about them, and I think it comes from the leadership in the locker room.
Zach.
Paul, do you have any concern about Tanner in terms of his health? I know that he had tweaked something in his left leg at the end of last week.
No, I think, just talking to him earlier, and certainly, with all the guys that are coming off of injury, the early part of the week is we've got to balance it, make sure that they're getting themselves to be the most healthy they can be, and yet also getting the work and repetition. So, we've had a good amount of time off. Saturday wasn't a real rigorous practice, and Sunday was off. Today we'll do a walkthrough, and tomorrow will be our first kind of full practice.
Paul, I'm sorry if I missed this. You were talking about the wide receivers. Who would then be the 5th guy who would be working in with the 4 guys listed on the depth?
I think Jazz might not have been on them. Jazz Peavy. I think he's done some really good things, and Jazz will certainly be a guy that'll factor in.
A couple questions, if I may. Is Tanner at receiver as opposed to safety because that's his best spot, or is that more of a need issue?
I think it's important. Anytime you with individuals, it has to be good for the individual and good for the team. And certainly, I think that he can add value to our team playing receiver, and we know that he can add value at the safety spot. And I also think that it's got to work for both. I think for it to be a good decision and a good thing. And I think right now, Tanner feels that, and I also believe that.
And just how frustrating was it to go through fall camp to see your O-line guys get injured, knowing that you got Alabama first week?
I think you're frustrated for them as much as anything, and that's these these kids put a ton of time and work into this, and the last thing they want to do is not participate. And I've, all the guys that missed some time, there's not one that. The first thing was you felt bad for them. You can see it on the look on their face. You guys see it when you're with them, and they want to participate. They want to be able to play, and yet we all know it's part of it, and not just football. It's part of sports in general, and our job is to help them get through it and help them recover as best you can, and then also there's opportunities that are presented, and it's our job to help those others take advantage of those opportunities. Absolutely, you'd like to have everyone for every practice. I talk to the team all the time. I think that's when we're best is when we got everyone, and yet that seldom happens, but that's the goal.
When researching Alabama and trying to figure out how to game plan, did you reach out to Brett at all, or did he reach out to you at all in the last few months?
I was impressed with watching the tape of Arkansas against Alabama, and I've talked to Brett some, but a lot of it in each coach is different. And I know we've got some coaches on the staff that like to call around and find out as much as they can. I've always been one to just watch the film and trust the film. And also I think that it's important as you prepare for any game, the focus is still first and foremost on the things you can control, and that's your own team, your players, and then you just have to make sure that they're prepared for, and that you're doing the right things schematically and whatnot. But I've always just rather spend more time watching the tape than being on the phone.
Paul, this program's been a top 25 school for some time now, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but what would it mean, do you think, to this program to get a win against Alabama in terms of national reputation or just starting your tenure here as coach?
Well, certainly, I don't think this game has anything to do with, it's not about me, and I've never gone into a game where I felt that it was about me, and I think that this game is a big game, and it's probably happening because of what both programs have done previous years. And I think our players, we've talked to the players about that, and yet this game is solely about these two teams Saturday night. And I think at the end of a season, at the end of whatever, is you can look back and say, what does it mean? But what it really means is we've got a great opportunity to play against a heck of a football team that has recent and long tradition, and most importantly, though, it's the start of our season, and what a great opportunity we have to go play at an unbelievable venue against a really, really good football team. And I think that's what's got our kids excited the most. It's what's got me excited.
I have two questions. The first is, if you had your druthers, would you schedule a game like this right out of the gate?
It's I've been a part of a couple different places where we've had really big games early, and they're fun to be in. And I think you do find out a lot about your team. I've always thought that the older players, guys that have played a lot of football, they really get excited about these games. And I think your younger players, it does provide them with a great opportunity to learn quickly what it's all about. I've always, been appreciative of the opportunities you get to play really good teams or in big games and whatnot. And I think I'm demented enough that every game does feel like that big game. Certainly we know this is different, but I think you want to have a team and an approach that whenever you get to play, you're ready to play, and you maximize that opportunity. And whether it's early in the season, middle, late, just happy to be playing the game, and you want to be as prepared so you go out and play as well as you can.
Secondly, Dave's had some pretty good defenses here the last 2 years. Do you see this defense improving on what he's done the last 2 years, and if so, how so?
Yeah, I think that other than watching the film, I feel more knowledgeable talking about this group right now, but I think that we've got. I'm excited about what they've been doing. I see them getting better, and I think that we could have kind of strength in numbers with the defensive line. A big question mark going into camp was inside linebacker and maybe depth at inside linebacker, and I think that we've found some depth there, and I think we've developed some depth at the cornerback position. Derek Tyndall's be able to play in the nickel spot, and I think Natrell keeps developing and growing, and so we're certainly going to be tested this season a number of different ways. But I think there's great chemistry on our defense, and I think our players certainly believe and trust and appreciate what Dave and the defensive coaches, how they're coaching them, and how they put them in positions to play. And so I'm looking forward to seeing us play and also how we develop and grow as a defense. I think it has a chance to be a good defense.
Paul, maybe following up on Tom's first question, and I know this game was scheduled a while ago, but overall, what do you think of the Big Ten's philosophy about non-conference scheduling moving forward, and how it relates to the bigger picture of the postseason picture?
Well, I think there's a lot of people have spent time going over this, and I know Coach Alvarez has been a major voice in that, and I think that's where guys want to come to Wisconsin and play in big games and play against quality opponents, and I think I like it.
You've coached in big venues like the Rose Bowl, where guys can kind of have that staring around, looking at the atmosphere type moment. Do you have to coach and prepare your players for that as well, and go into Jerry Dome or World or whatever it is with this huge scoreboard like that and video screen? Yeah,
I think it's something that is different, and talking to different people that have played there, and we want to expose our kids to it. We're going to get off the plane and we're going to go see the stadium and want them to enjoy that. I mean, it's a pretty neat deal for our kids to be able to play there. And then, we'll go back in Saturday and have a little bit of a walkthrough on Saturday during the day. And so I think I want them to feel the stadium and embrace it and understand it's a heck of an opportunity to be able to play there. And I think if we go there a couple times, no matter what stadium games have been in, players, the game settles in really fast, and it's all about what happens between the lines. But before that, I want them to be able to enjoy the opportunities that they're getting and to not take those for granted. And yet I think that the focus needs to be and will be on the game at hand and getting to play the game. That's what you're going to remember the most.
Paul, 2 questions. First, Walker Williams and Hayden Beagle, are they 100% full go for Saturday right now?
Yeah, we're able to practice them right now, and so let's feel good about that.
And then you named Joel the starter the first day of spring ball. Was the intent to give him some confidence doing it that early, or was it just you knew he was your best option, or what was kind of the reason why you came out that early and gave him the job?
I mean, you name your starters when you know who's going to start, and unless something happened different, Joel was going to be our starter, and I think he's earned the right. Joel's I saw the other day he's 21-7. That's one. He's played in a lot of games and played a lot of big games, and I think he's grown through all those, and it's well documented. His experience is positive, and the struggle that he's gone through. And yet I think I've been impressed with how he's come out the other end of it. And I think that he gives our team the best chance to win. And I've liked the way that he's approached spring ball in the summer and fall camp. And he's doing everything he can to work each day. And yet I think he's also got a poise about him that I think it's important for our team, our offense, to know that they've got someone that they can trust. And our players do trust Joel, and that knows in it for them. And our players know that Joel is a great teammate, and he'll do anything for that group on and off the field, and I think he's got more than enough talent to be a really good quarterback.
Paul, from what you've seen on film, how formidable is that Alabama front seven in particular?
I think they're really good. I think they're a really good defense, and I think that depends on when you're looking at it. If you're looking at it in the run game, you say the strength of their defense is their front seven, and then you look at the passing, and you say the strength of their defense is, of course, there's more. You know, they've what looks to be like they're doing some shuffling, but whether it's the D-line, the linebackers, the secondary, they've got guys coming back, and they're replacing, one in the defensive line, one at the linebacker spot. But all those guys have played a lot of football. I think it's a really good defense. I think it's a good defense, certainly schematically, and also I think their players understand what they're doing, and they're talented, and our players recognize that, and yet I think that's what also gets them excited to play a team and a defense like we're going to face Saturday.
Jay. Strangely, the last Badger team to play at AT&T Stadium was the basketball team in the Final Four.
That's right.
Have you talked to Bo about the stadium or any quirky things that he found out when he played there?
I did, and you guys all know the answer. I don't know what it was. No, all's right in the world.
He was speaking in a different language, or what?
No, I understood every word.
Oh, okay. Your first Pittsburgh team obviously finished well, but had a rough start in that opening game. Have you kind of wiped that from the memory bank, or did you learn anything from that?
I think you learn from every game that you're associated with, and I don't think it means anything or has any carryover to this game. I said that to our team the year after for our first game, and the next one to the guys that actually participated in it. And but I think you always want to try to find anything you can from your experiences and learn from.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. And learn from.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.